Another factor that is not being talked about enough could dramatically affect AI adoption, and that's how much it costs customers to access the latest and greatest AI capabilities. There was just a new report from the publication The Information, and they said, quote, more than 600 of Microsoft's largest customers, including Bank of America, Walmart, Ford, and Accenture, have been testing the AI features in its Microsoft Office 365 productivity apps. And at least 100 of the customers are paying a flat fee of $100,000 for up to 1,000 users in 1 year, according to a person with direct knowledge of this pilot program. So, this report goes on to say that Microsoft is basically trying to figure out how to price the AI features it is incorporating into its existing products. So, in one possibility, Microsoft might charge an add on fee to access the features. In the other, it would add AI features automatically to Microsoft Office and increase the price of subscriptions per seat. So, essentially, what we're seeing here is that as firms incorporate artificial intelligence, that is an expensive capability to run constantly as part of existing platforms and systems. So we could see a significant price rise in AI tools. And actually, other firms are paying pretty close attention to what Microsoft is doing. So there were two other companies, Box, which is a cloud company, and Coda, a productivity app, that told the information they have considered raising their prices to cover the costs of running new AI capabilities. So, Paul, I wanted to kick off by asking you, how do you anticipate that proposed pricing for AI features is going to impact the business leaders trying to use these tools?
I think there's gonna be a lot of experimentation. I mean, a lot of these SaaS companies can draw on past pricing model experiences. Like, I mean, I can speak firsthand for being HubSpot's first partner back in 2007. We went through dozens of iterations of their pricing model. So this
Mm,
is like a wonderful, highly successful SaaS company that was always iterating and probably still is iterating. And some of them were fundamental shifts in terms of like charging by contacts, charging by usage, like complete changes in the paradigm of how it was done.
mm,
And so this is very common in software companies overall to explore and iterate on the model. The challenge here is going to be we've never faced a productivity gain like could be realized through these tools. And so then the question becomes, if you break down this math, 100,000 for 1,000 users, it's only $100 per user per year.
right.
Like that, it almost doesn't. It seems almost stupid cheap. So I assume this is like a beta model. So it sounds expensive on the whole. It's like $100,000. Focus on that number. But when you break out, if that's not per month, that's just saying for 1 year, that's $100 per year.
Right.
Like I'd pay that in a second because like, I mean, you gain an hour of productivity in the year and you've paid for that person's time basically. So I think there's going to be a lot of experimentation and it's going to be highly competitive because if like, let's just play this out. So let's say Microsoft Office 365 comes out, it's available and it's good. Like it actually works. And let's say I'm paying for a few other generative AI tools that I have 19 bucks a month, $59 a month, $99 a month.
Mm,
Now, maybe those applications have some enterprise capabilities or features that Microsoft often doesn't, or some like cool templates that we're used to using, or we have our preset prompts in there. Like there's some sticky factor to these other tools. But if Microsoft and Google show up and
mm,
all of a sudden for $9 a month per user, I can get all of these capabilities baked into Google or into Microsoft. I start asking myself, what do I need these other application companies for?
mm.
So one, the big guys can create pricing pressure on the market by coming and saying, hey, listen, we'll just break even for the first year or two and we'll just get rid of all these competitors. And now everybody's just going to use our tools. They could go upstream and they could offer enterprise capabilities that these other players can't. So, I mean, I think it's just going to be, it's going to take time to play out. I'm unsure how players like Box, who has some awesome AI from what I've seen demoed so far,
Mm.
um, how some of these companies compete. Like it is easy to see a scenario where the big players get bigger
Mm,
and are the real winners here. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's the first time I've seen any real pricing data on this, because I do think a lot of these SaaS companies are just pushing the AI capabilities out just to get people using them.
yeah.
And it's like almost a freemium to date, but it's not going to stay that way, because the cost for them to enable these features is significant at the moment. So, when they're pulling the APIs from OpenAI or however they're building it, they're not getting that stuff for free.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to pass the costs on. And then the question becomes, to what degree, and can you compete with the bigger players? Um, and then the other variable is the cost is going to actually plummet for them to use these tools. Like the
Mm,
cost of the access from OpenAI, they've shown they'll reduce the cost for the people to use the API over time. So I don't know. There's a lot of pricing factors here, but as you're building your AI roadmap for your company, you're trying to figure out which tools and which providers. The pricing factor is unknown at the moment, but is going to play a big part in it. Um, I don't expect $100 per user per year to be what this actually costs. I would imagine it's going to go way higher than that, but you should be able to build a business case for it by saying, okay, but if we have these tools, we're going to save 20% on administrative tasks. We spend $500,000 a year on administrative tasks across 3 people. We can save X dollars. So yeah, we'll pay $300 a month per person because we're saving 3,000 a month per person. Like you're gonna be able to build these kind of business cases to justify these costs. But again, I don't know too many organizations that are doing that yet, that are that
mm.
far along.
So if I'm a small business, is there anything specific I need to be thinking about here? I mean, in an ideal world, you're paying and testing all these tools, but small businesses often can have tight budgets and, lack of time and bandwidth to do that.
Yeah, I think the tools are going to be affordable to you. So for one, I don't think you're going to get priced out of this. I do believe that whether it's the application companies that are building on top of the APIs or it's Microsoft and Google themselves, they have shown through their pricing strategies previously that they will make products for the small business. Now, you may not have all the features that the enterprise players get. That would be the standard thing. You stack features for the higher grade ones. Um, but the tools are going to be affordable. You do have to be careful with like tech creep though. Like I've run small businesses. My agency was 18 employees. Our institute's 5 employees. And it's real easy to throw $50 a month at this tool and $99 a month at that tool and $9 a month here and $29 there. And all of a sudden, as a small business, you have a $500, $1,000 a month tech bill
Mm,
across 10 different AI tools, 8 of which you're barely even using. So that's the thing you have to be careful of as a small business leader or marketer, is that you don't just start stacking a bunch of AI tools that you don't really use. You really want to stay disciplined with your pilot programs, test tools for 90 days, fully use the features and capabilities, make sure you're trained on how to actually do them. Like if you're using AI tools, make sure you have proper training on how to prompt them, like we talked about in the first topic.
mm.
So make sure you're doing it right. And then at the end of 90 days, make a decision whether to keep it or get rid of it. I mean, Mike, how many tools do we have sitting around that we just pay the
Right.
license for every month that we don't even use?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's very, very easy for it to get out of control very quick. Um, if you're a leader trying to effectively assess kind of if the benefits outweigh the costs, is it really just as simple as looking at those use cases, like you mentioned, and saying putting a dollar value on them?
I mean, I think it starts there, but I do believe you have to look at the people on your team, who's using the tools, how does it affect their workflows and productivity, and and then what's the value exchange there. I mean, that's kind of how we always teach all this stuff. Is AI is just smarter technology. You have to look at it the way you've always purchased marketing technology. You have to find what the value is to it, and it could be productivity gains, it could be increased revenue, it could be it saves your cost because you can consolidate from 3 other tools. Like, but go in knowing what is the goal for this technology, and then measure against that. And that's kind of the way you have to decide whether or not they're viable for you moving forward.